Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to our Getting Your BillTrack50 account ready for 2019 webinar. I am excited to have you here. I am Karen with BillTrack50, and I have one of our favorite customers here on the line with me, Natasha. Say hi, Natasha.
Hello, everyone. I'm her
So
glamorous assistant.
you are so very glamorous. It's a shame we don't have a webcam. So we are here to work on Natasha's account. I thought it would be helpful to just go ahead and actually get someone's account ready. And Natasha was nice enough to volunteer to do that. So that is going to be the order of the day. So thanks, Natasha. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Right. So there's a few housekeeping things I like everybody to try to do at least once a year. And the first one is reviewing your users. So Natasha, when's the last time you even went through to make sure everybody in your account should be here?
It's been at least a year.
I know, right? So if you come up to your account menu, and can you see my screen? Is it working for everybody?
I can see you.
Brilliant. All right, so this is the account menu. If you have this manage users option, that means you are the manager of your account. If you don't, then it's someone else's responsibility. But let's assume that it's your responsibility. So you click manage users, and then you can see everybody who is in your account. And that gives you a chance to see if there's anybody that you don't want here anymore or anybody that you forgot to add. Now, let's say that for some reason you don't want Jennifer in here anymore. You can say edit and then just unclick this active and then save it at the bottom, and then that will remove them from the account and they won't be able to see your stuff anymore. Simple as that. So just go through everybody. If you need to add somebody, add them up here. Or if you notice somebody hasn't gotten in yet, you can always click through to their name and then say send invitation email. And that button is only there if they haven't actually verified their account. So that is how you can remind them that they were supposed to sign up. So you can do all of those things, and it's a good idea to just kind of keep that clean, just so you don't have extra extraneous people in your account that you don't want there. Fair enough?
Thumbs up.
All right.
I started to thumbs up and realized that I was not on camera and that you could not see my thumbs up.
All right, well, I will take the verbal thumbs up and move along. All right, so the other thing that I think is a good idea is to save snapshots of your bill sheets. So for example, you had set up these main categories for the things you were following, and then you had these feeder sheets that you used to figure out what bills you wanted to share. So these are just based on search terms, I assume.
Correct.
So take a look here, and so we've got Confederate monuments, and if we look, we're just looking for some different bills and some different stuff and some search terms and whatnot. So that's all fine, and you can just let that roll over, which I'll talk about the details of that in a second. But then these bills up here that you have specifically pulled out and said were important, maybe you would like to save those for posterity. So especially your bills to share sheet or your tracking sheet, people might have a priority sheet. If we go in here, we've got this extra information you've entered. So we've got not just the fact that you found these 272 bills, but also they have categories on them. We've put some positions and some links in here and some other information. So all of this is about to become old news because it's going to be a new session and these bills won't matter anymore. But that doesn't mean you won't want to refer back to them or maybe share them in the future, especially if you're trying to like figure out what you think about a person and you want to see the bills they sponsored. So if you want to keep a copy of all of this, it's very easy to do. So you just go to the Manage tab. I assume that I talked you into it. You want to keep a copy?
Yeah, so when a new session begins, those bills get archived, or what exactly happens to them when the new session begins that you would want to make a copy?
Right, so it depends on the bill sheet, but if you have the bill sheet just set up with search terms, like the one we're looking at, then all of the bills that are not in the current session will drop off.
Gotcha.
So on December or on January 1st, those all will come off of your sheet automatically, and anything in the new session will get added automatically. And I'll talk more about how to manage that. But that is kind of how the sheet rolls forward. If you have added the bills one by one, like this one, then you're more in control of what it does. But you still want to keep a copy so that you can continue to use this sheet for just new stuff.
All right, that makes sense. So yes, I do want to save those.
You're sold on the copy. Okay, so you just go to the Manage tab on the bill sheet that you want to keep a copy of, or a snapshot of, if you will, and click the copy button. And then it'll give you a copy, and I'm going to go ahead and rename it Bills to Share 2018. So you get a chance to give it a name, and I like to give it something to let me know which year it was from. You can decide if you want to keep all of that custom data that you entered, so the category and the position, all that information. You definitely want to. And then you decide if you want everyone else in the account to be able to see it. And maybe that's not important. They don't need to see it, only you need to see it. And do you still want to get alerts on this? Probably not, because we're just keeping it to kind of hang around. So that's how I'm going to set that, but it's up to you about if you want to keep getting alerts or if you think other people in the account should be able to see the historical info. Ooh, we haven't renewed your subscription for this time.
Dun,
No.
dun, dun.
Outed.
My bad. This is a little embarrassing.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and buy this. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And
I just made a wise investment.
And if that happens to you guys when you are resetting up your stuff, then that means that it's expired and either you or I didn't realize it. So just do what I did and ask for a mailed invoice like I just did, and then contact me and we'll figure it out. So don't let that stop you. All right, so then we have this new one called Bills to Share 2018, and I'm going to go to the Manage tab on this new sheet now, the brand new copy I made, and I'm going to turn on this archive. And then it says, are you sure you want to archive it? Yes, we do. And then I still have to say save, even though I said okay to that, and that will save it in archived position. So what archive does is it means we won't automatically add any more bills to this bill sheet. So it now is a snapshot. So it's going to be these 272 bills. It's not going to worry about searching for your terms or anything like that. So it's frozen in time. However, if one of these bills that got passed gets signed or whatever, we will update that bill progress. So the info in here will be current, but we're not going to be adding new bills to it. So now you do have this as like a permanent snapshot.
Cool.
So that can be handy if you want to share last year's bills on your website, or if you write a blog post and you want to say, here's everything we looked at in 2018, you can now safely use this one and it won't change. So you know that that will be what's in your blog post. So this is now just static. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Beautiful. So
it's like a time capsule.
It's a little time capsule. What I cared about last year. All right. So I have this example I wanted to show you. So this is the Colorado Republican Business Coalition, and they've got theirs. But notice at the end, they've got previous years saved here. And so that's what they've done. They've taken snapshots every year. And then they've got them all just lined up that you can just go to and look at their stuff from previous years, which I think is pretty great. So that's another example of how you might use these snapshots. All right. The other good thing about archiving is I'm going to refresh this screen, and you'll see that you don't have Bills to Share 2018 in your main screen. It's not in your way. If we go to Bill Sheets, it's not here. It's actually way at the bottom, out of the way. And it's got an archive checkbox. Okay. So when you save them, they just go completely out of your way. They drop to the bottom. So they're there if you ever need them, but they're not going to be hassling you. So there's no reason not to take some snapshots and just keep them hanging around just in case, because they're not going to be in your way. They're not going to be sending you alerts. You know, all they are is just, you know, like saving a spreadsheet and sticking in a folder, just so you have a little history of what you were doing. So for you, I would suggest that you do that for each one of your topics. And you say civil rights because you found these 38 bills you cared about. So say civil rights 2018 and save them. But for your bill sheets that are just searching for terms, you don't need to do that. So let's move into the, well, actually, before I move into exactly how the rollover happens, I want to remind you that you want to be careful when you are copying your sheets or deleting sheets or otherwise neatening up your account, because you don't want to break your widgets. So you want to double check after you've done this that your widget still works. And one of the things you can do is you can double check. You can make the new sheet, put the name on it, change the name to 2018 and create the sheet, and then go to your website to see what name is appearing here. And so you can see, does this now your saved version of the name? If it is, then be careful, because now you're messing with your website. Or if you have a widget, make sure that it's still connected, all right? And so do that before you archive it and lock it, because once you archive it, you have to write to me to unarchive it. So just be careful along the way that you're not breaking any of your widgets or your maps or your stakeholder pages.
Now, if something happened and your widget is broken, what do you do?
So at that point, you can either remove the code from your website and update it with the new sheet that you've created. So if you have access to your website and that's no big deal, then you need to paste in the new code. If, in fact, that's a hassle because it's not up to you, or for whatever reason that's actually inconvenient for you to update your website with new code, then what you want to do is email me and send me the link that's broken, and then I'll work with you to get that sheet back, because I can even undelete sheets. So if you accidentally deleted something when you were tidying up or archived something you shouldn't have, then I can unlock those, put those back, and then we can decide what you need to change instead. So drop me a link to the page where it's broken, and I will help you put the sheet back and unbreak it.
All right, makes sense.
All right, good. So that is kind of snapshots and archiving. So once you've gone through and you've taken a little snapshot of everything you think you might conceivably need, then we can talk about rolling over. So let's look at civil asset forfeiture as just an example. All right, so we've got this bill sheet, which I see you've got a different template on. It doesn't have the categories and stuff, so that's nice. You've done a nice job here. On the query, we've got just a search term. So civil asset forfeiture, these words near each other, great. And we're currently looking across 2017, 18, and 19. So 19 shows up as soon as any of the states you're following have bills from 2019 available. And the reason yours has shown up is because you've got New Jersey. This is a national search. And New Jersey is in its 2018-19 session. So any national sheet is going to show 2019 as an option. Otherwise, only a few states have 2019. So Virginia, I think, and Florida, maybe a few other ones have established their 2019 session, so you'll have a 2019 option. If you are in a different state, no worries. As soon as new bills show up for 2019, so if they pre-file or just January 1st, 2019 will be available on your choices, and we will automatically update your bill sheet to include 2019. So if your bill sheet goes to 2018 right now, we will assume you want 2019 and add it for you. So Natasha, you probably didn't come in here and add 2019. We did that for you. Yeah. So that way, if new bills get introduced, you will get an alert, and that will remind you about BillTrack50, and it's time to start looking at legislation again. So you don't have to come in here and change anything to still get the alerts that you're expecting to get. That's the good news. However, we don't want to fiddle with your query more than that. So we feel like we're right on the line adding 2019 to your queries without asking you. but that's the only way you get new bills, so we think it's important to make that assumption. But we don't mess with the rest of your query. So when you are ready, you can come in and you limit it just to 2019 or just to 2018-19 or whatever it is you want in your sheet. So the first time you log in, you're going to need to go through your queries and update the timeline. And so that is really the rolling over part. So you'll start getting the 2019 in there. It'll be mingled with the older bills until you come in and you say, okay, I'm ready for it to just be 2019. That way you don't have an empty widget. If you don't want one, you don't show 0 bills, or depending how you're using it, you're just in control of when those old bills actually fall off your sheet. Does that make sense?
So what happens in 2020? Does it automatically update again?
Yeah, so 2020 is a lot more complicated, so thanks for asking that. That's a harder question. So 2019, for all the states except New Jersey, is the beginning of a new session. So this rollover is actually pretty easy. 49 states have finished their sessions. You're starting fresh. January 1, everybody starts with a new slate, except for New Jersey. For whatever reason, they have the even to odd session. In 2020, it's decidedly more complicated because half the states-ish have only a 1-year session. And so for those states, those sessions finish and they won't roll over and they won't have any active bills in 2020. So in that case, if you were to make it just the 1 year dot, then the 2018, then the 2019 bills would fall out. So it really kind of depends on what you're trying to show. And we'll talk a lot more about that question when we do this same webinar next year. But basically, it's easy this year. Every state but New Jersey is finishing. Next year, it's trickier because you're not quite sure, unless you look them all up, which states are 1 year and which states are 2 year. And obviously, we'll help you with that. But just keep in mind, next year, trickier. But to that end, I'm going to go ahead and just save this rolled. Well, I'm going to save this as 2018 for you. But let's look at one little tool we do give you to deal with that when that happens. So I'm going to go to bills to share because I suspect we've got a lot of bills added to this. Yeah, so here's all your bills. So we have this little remove thing, and if I hover over here, it shows all the bills that are in a session that ended, okay? So these are probably 2017 Texas bills, and these are New Jersey bills that finished up last year. So these are just bills that are no longer relevant. So now that I've taken the snapshot, I can feel safe to click this remove, and it removes all those bills. All right, so now I'm on to just the ones that are still current. That's even more important for the 2020 question, but for 2019, it still matters. So that's the easy way to clean out bills from old years. Now, January 1st, all of these bills that aren't New Jersey become irrelevant. So again, when you're coming in and fiddling with your timeline, you could actually hover over the remove to highlight in red and see what's going to come out, and then click it to actually remove the bills you don't need anymore. So it's kind of a two-part rollover if you have these bills. So you want to change the timeline and get rid of anything from old years that don't matter anymore. Unless you want to keep old years, that's fine too. But in case you're just trying to show current bills, that's the easiest way. All right, was that okay? Was that confusing?
No, I really like the fact that you can have the snapshot and keep track of everything in one spot, and then in the other spot you can only have what's relevant. And I like things being tidy that way. So
great. So yeah, so this is the one on your website. So that's the one we'll keep tidy, and then yeah, we just keep the history elsewhere for your own private enjoyment. All right, so that is the rolling over, the timeline, and the out of session bill tool, which is good stuff. All right, and then the last thing to do, as long as you're in here and doing a little bit of housekeeping, is just to double check how you have your alerts set up. So for this one, because when you create a bill sheet, it doesn't automatically turn on alerts. We don't want to spam you if you don't want to hear from us. So it just makes sure that you've got your alerts set up how you want them. So for this one, you don't have any alerts coming in. I assume that you have them on the other sub sheets. But, you know, if you want to know when these bills move, you know, you can say new action. Or if you just want to know when new bills are introduced, you know, new bill, etc. If you want to know when these bills are scheduled for hearing, that's this event schedule business. So that puts them onto your event schedule so that you can keep track of them that way.
That's cool.
So just double check, as long as you're in here, that you're still happy with the query, the bills are relevant, you know, the time frame is right. And then also, as long as you're here, just check that your alerts are turned on and they're how you expect them. And, you know, if you're not getting alerts you expect, that's the first culprit, is come in here and make sure that you've actually checked the boxes that you want to go into your email. So I'm not going to add anything to your email, but I'm going to turn on this event schedule. All right. So if you have a bazillion sheets and you have less than a bazillion, but you have a good number, and you really just are feeling stress about going through and changing all of the timeframes and all of that, drop me a note. I can just do it in the database. But if you just have a few, it's quick and easy. You know, you can go through them and just change the timeline, and then that gives you a chance to double check that your alerts are how you want them. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All righty. All right, so we turned on that event schedule, and that's this tab here. And this, obviously, there's nothing scheduled right now. Everybody's busy with something else. I don't know. There's like some other political event going on today.
What's that? Strange.
Yeah. So we happen to do this on midterm day. Yeah, so everybody's a bit distracted. Anyway, so this will show you when the next 2 weeks worth of bills, when they're scheduled to be heard. So that's just a convenience. If you don't care, don't check that box. But if you want to know, check that box, and we'll put that bill sheet onto your event schedule. So you can decide topic by topic which ones are worth keeping track of in committee, basically. All right, that is the housekeeping and the rollover. How do you feel?
I feel informed and confident.
And like a spring clean for the May Queen.
What's that now?
Since we've got 2 more minutes, let me tell you a couple of the new features that we've added, just in case they escaped your notice. We send out our newsletter. If you're not signed up for it, go to the About page and sign up for our newsletter to announce our new features. But we added a couple things, a couple new columns you can pick from. So I'm going to go to Manage Templates, and we added this sponsor count. If you just want a quick look at how many people have sponsored a bill, that gives you a good look at like if it's been, how popular it's been. That's especially useful for federal bills, not as useful for state bills, but for federal bills, it can really help to see, oh, 30 people have sponsored it, 80 people have sponsored it, without having to actually count them. And then we've got this created column that we added, which is actually pretty darn useful. We should have had it all along. This is when we added a bill to our database. So it should be, you know, the day it was introduced or the day after it was introduced, ideally. But even if, you know, whatever happened and it's a little bit late, we'll still show you the truth there. That's the date that we added it to the database. And the reason you might want that column in your bill sheet is so that you can sort and just look at whatever's new since the last time you logged in. So if you get the alerts and you look at them every day and everything and you're always caught up, that's fine. You don't need this. But if you only get in once in a while, you might find this created column to be a really handy way to see what bills have been introduced since the last time you took a look. I suspect you might like that column.
I don't know what you mean. I'm here every day.
I look every day. And then we also have added quite a bit to the scorecards, including like some sorting information and allowing you to add entire bill sheets to your scorecard. And you can add bill sheets to your scorecard a second time, and it will just add whatever new bills have been added since the last time you did it. So that's pretty handy. So you might want to look at our blog and see some of the scorecard features. I've also got a blog post kind of laying out all of the latest new features. And I'm going to, thank you for coming to this webinar, and you will get an email from me with a couple of links. One, with a checklist to go through these items, including screenshots of all of this. And then two, a little run through of the latest features that you should probably add. So we've also got a new app coming out, which we're super excited about. Ooh. And you can check that out here in the App Store. That's a link to it. It will let you see your bills and also see your bill sheets and see what's new and all of that. And it will let you share bills with your members. So if you want people to be able to see the bills that you're following, but you don't want them to actually be in your BillTrack50 account, then you can give them a code to enter into the app, and they can see the bills that you've chosen to share in their app. And then they can look at the bills on the phone and then tap and call or whatever. It's pretty fun. So let me know if you want to have more questions, or you can always just grab it. It's free in the App Store for you to get the app. The sharing with members has a new product, so that does have a fee, but the app is free and it'll be free for all of your members. We've added a bunch of stuff to YouTube. So if you look at any of our blog posts, usually we have videos in them. So we've made an entire playlist of all of our little help videos. So we've got like 2 or 3 minutes about lots of things. But the most exciting thing is our new search engine. So we implemented a new search engine, and we wrote a big newsletter all about it that we think is leaps and bounds better than our old search engine. So we were just using the default one that comes with Microsoft SQL Server. Now we have upgraded to a search engine called Elasticsearch, which is like the newfangled way to search. And we are delighted with the results. So hopefully you will find that you get quicker results, that you get your alerts earlier in the morning, and that the results are more accurate, and that you're getting more of the bills that you want and fewer of the bills that you don't want. And that was a big change, but yeah.
If you're just searching a couple of words, like, some of the bill sheets that you pulled up for me just had 2 words for the search. How big a difference does it make what search engine you're using?
Yeah, so you would think that the search engine just looks for those words, wouldn't you? But there turns out, you would think, but it turns out there's a lot of nuance in there. So for the civil asset forfeiture one we looked at, it used a near query, and we've changed how near is near by a little bit. So we found that it was just a little too narrow, and so now we've been able to make it a little wider. So it was within maybe about 10 words, and now it's more like 20 words, so it really gives you the whole sentence. That seems to work better for most people. But what we've especially done is taught the search engine about legislative language. So if you are searching for a statute number like 125-9 or 123.56A or something like that, which you very well might be because you're interested in everything that affects the code that you care about the most, we have taught the search engine that dots and dashes in those cases are important, and you should keep them in, and that makes the searches much more accurate. So search engines normally will ignore punctuation. We've taught it not to ignore punctuation when the search term starts with a number, and so that's really helping out. But we still ignore punctuation when it starts with a word. So if you have air conditioning, we'll search it with and without the dash for you, which doesn't mean it's a bad idea to put it into your search as with a dash and without a dash. You can still do that for your own sanity, but we try to treat that intelligently and say, well, you want air conditioning either way. So yeah, the search engine actually makes a surprising amount of difference. All the little decisions about what words to ignore, and are we going to ignore punctuation, and like how near is near, and all of that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I learned a lot about it this summer, and it was, yeah, a lot to get into. But it's, yeah, so there's just a lot. Computers, turns out, pretty tricky stuff. All right. So
you heard it here first, folks.
It can be computers. What are you gonna do? So that is the running you through everything. Do we have any questions? Do you have any, Natasha? Or does anyone in the crowd have any?
I'm trying to think of one because I would like to have a question,
Well,
but
good enough to
everything.
ask it as we went.
When you mentioned the scorecards,
Yeah.
what exactly? Why would you want to add like an entire bill sheet to a scorecard?
Okay. So let's pick a state, maybe California, and let's give it a name, CA scorecard. So now, instead of adding the bills one by one, we can just add everything from bills to share. It's going to go through and figure out what your California bills are and then add them. And so, again, we're going to need to buy this. No worries.
Sorry, I'm a deadbeat, everyone.
It's not you. You just didn't have a all right, so normally you would add the bills one by one, but now you can add the whole batch of them and not have to do that. And then, after a month, like maybe come February, you've found some new bills that you're following. You can come to the Manage tab and say Copy Bills, and you can add bills again, and it'll add anything new that you've added without you having to sort it through and figure out which ones are new and which ones you do and don't have. Or you could also throw in women's health and say, you know what, I want this to be that and this, and just add extra bills to it. So you can bring together 2 or 3 different bill sheets onto this. And if you do that, you can give them categories. So just like make your category as you go, and then tag all the bills as they come in. And it's actually pretty easy to set up the categories. Or if you have 100 bills, obviously always welcome to write to me and have me help. And I can sort things out in the database pretty quickly. So yeah, so that's just, it's an easy way to bring bill sheets together into one single scorecard, or keep one updated as the year goes through and new bills get added.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good feature I've been using a lot. And then here's where the sorting is set up. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, I will say thank you for coming. I hope this was helpful. And let me know if there's anything we can do to help your 2019 be super successful. And obviously get out and vote if you haven't voted already.
Vote, 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 vote.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Natasha. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.